Hey, welcome to Echoes in Eternity Bourbon. My name is Sean. Um, the state of Alabama runs a allocated program. I'd like to explain during this video how that program works, what it means to be allocated, and how you have to actually purchase some of the products here. So let's see what we got. You absolutely know it's early. If you're here before even the donut shop opens, it's Alabama allocated day, but I'm over here in Columbus, Georgia, picking up some donuts for the crew before I head back over to Auburn and start allocated day to see what we can get. Not a huge selection for February, but this is part of the yearly project that I'm doing, the state of Georgia versus the state of Alabama and how they handle their liquors. But let's see when they open up and get some donuts and hit the road.
It's better like hell. There ain't nothing in here. It's like it's empty. Yeah.
So in the state of Alabama, the allocated products, the products that they only get certain amounts of, are distributed on a monthly basis. It's the Saturday after the third Monday of every month. They have an allocated day. And what we do is in the state of Alabama, as long as it's not one of the quarterly lotteries, and I'll explain a little bit about that in a minute. If it's one of the regular months, they'll post a list out on ABC Alabama. It'll tell you what products are going to drop. They won't tell you the quantities, but they'll tell you what products are going to drop at what stores. And they'll tell you what stores are going to get these products. And that way you then kind of formulate a game plan. Is there something that I want from one of these stores? And if so, how do I want to approach and go after this product? So going for the 8 months that aren't part of the lottery, it's a first come, first serve basis for that product. So, and the way that it works is you're only allowed one of a specific product each day, or not, I'm sorry, yeah, each day until they're gone. Um, but you can select two products that day, with the exception of maybe a mini. And sometimes they'll let you get two minis as well. Sometimes it varies. One mini plus your two allocated products, or two minis and your allocated products. So I'll walk through what I was able to get for February and how I went about that. So Blanton's is one of the harder bottles to find, and the beauty of an Alabama, you're getting it basically at MSRP. You're getting it at $60, where most stores in this area, if you're finding it in the wild, it's over $100, $120, $150. So one way to potentially get this every month, if they're dropping a Blanton's, is to show up at Alabama allocated day at a store that they said that they're going to get that too. And so you have to put time into something like this. You have to say, okay, this is something I'm very interested in. This fits in the budget that I have for myself for bourbon. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dedicate time to that. Now, I'll tell you, in our area, which is, I usually go to the Auburn area, you're going to have to get there fairly early, if not the night before, depending on what allocated products are going to be there. So for this example right here, I showed up yesterday at 5 in the morning. The store doesn't open up until 10, so 5 hours before the store opened up. I was fifth in line at a store that eventually, by the time it opened, there were 60 people in line. And what did that get me? It got me one of the Blantons. We had a very heavy drop for this particular store. There were 24 Blantons available, which is highly unlikely most of the time, for this Auburn store. And it wasn't even the bigger Auburn store. It's just because one of the other stores it's under repair. They're maintaining that store and it's going to be down. So they got that store's drop as well. So we had 24 of the Blantons available. In my selection as being number 5, I was able to get one of the Blantons. I was also able to get one of the Elijah Craig private barrels. This is selected, for ABC stores in Alabama. And it's a 9-year-old Elijah Craig. And if any of those don't know, I am an Elijah Craig fanboy. So if you just happen to have some Elijah Craig sitting around you don't like, just message me and we'll find a way to make sure it gets to a good home. But with that being said, I was able to pick up the Blantons. I was able to pick up the Elijah Craig. I was able to get 2 minis at that store. So one of the benefits of being so early in line is that the other location, which is usually the heavier location in Auburn, they had a very light line because I guess people realized that this store would have more Blantons. And so I headed over to the Auburn store after that, and I was able to pick up 2 more minis, which works out great because these minis are very hard to get in our area. And I've got a brother-in-law, I'm gonna get one of these 2. My son-in-law, I'm gonna get one of these 2. I have another friend that I'm potentially getting one of these 2. So these are nice little gifts to have. Price point on this, $59, $79, and these are $9.99. So you're not getting raked over the coals for a lot of it, but you do have to invest the time. With that being said, with the time, you have to figure out what's more valuable to you. Is it the cost, versus the time? For me, time is that asset that you never know how much you have, and you can never earn any more of it back. You can get money, but you can't get time. But what is the benefit of the time that's spent there as well? Allocated days, you get to hang out with a lot of awesome people. You get to have good conversations. You get to learn new stuff. You get to pass on stuff. So you have an opportunity to spend time in the community with a lot of like-minded people that enjoy bourbon, that enjoy people, and don't mind sharing. So for me, it's time well spent because you get to hang out with people that generally you're gonna like. There's not mean people that show up at these. They're generally great people to hang out with and talk to. So when I did go to the other store in Auburn, just to kind of give an example, I was able to get in and pick up 2 of these minis, and they also had another one of these that everyone had gone through in line, and we were going back through a second time, and we were honest when the lady came out. She said, "Is there anybody here that hadn't gone through yet?" And so we were all honest. People there at that store were about to go through a second time. We had come from another store, and we all said, "Yeah, we've been to another store," and these people say, "Yeah, we'll go through a second time." So we pushed the other people up to the front of the line, let them have first opportunities. But when I got through, there were some more minis, and there was also another bottle of this private barrel. So when I got there, I said, "Hey, I really like Elijah Craig. I'm gonna get this second one here, and I'm gonna get 2 more minis." Well, there was a gentleman that I met at the other store, and he had got some stuff, but he didn't get one of these private barrels. And he was like, "Man, I really wanted to get that." So after he got out of the store, I said, "Look, you know what? I've got one of these. You sound like you really wanted one." So, he got that from me. That's one of the nice parts about things is hopefully, when you have an opportunity there, you meet some awesome people, and you don't just hoard things. You're able to say, "Okay, wait a second. I've already got one of these. What's the benefit of me having 2 and not sharing?" Other benefit, and I'm going to put these to the side for a minute, of going to these allocated, because I don't spend most of my time up in Auburn. I live in Phoenix City, right across the border is Columbus. But I see people that I haven't got to see maybe in a few weeks, and a lot of times we're in connection and we talk about stuff. "Hey, I've got stuff here in Columbus that you can't find. You want me to pick it up for you?" Or they like, "Hey, this dropped over here at this store. You want me to pick it up for you?" And then when we get together, we have an opportunity to give each other the bottles that we were going to pick up. Plus, it gives me a different location to look at and to hunt. So what we was able to get is that there were 3 different things that I was able to get and trade. One of this is the Remus Reserve. This is this a cask strength? This is a cask strength at 114.2%. It's a single barrel. I wasn't able to get this in my area, but a friend of mine was, and we had worked out a trade. I actually had an E.H. Taylor single barrel, and we had found a way to say, "Okay, let's make this even," and I got this bottle right here. I was also able to get an old Ezra right here. There was one more bottle. That one was the one I was most excited about. This is a Russell's Reserve Private Barrel Selection, non-chill filter. And when we were at the allocated, and this is something that dropped in Alabama a couple of days before the allocated lottery, and a lot of people that are Russell's fans are like, these are usually outstanding. They're better than the 13s a lot of times. So I was very excited that my friend was able to pick one of these up for me, included in part of a trade, and I was able to get these 3 bottles from him, which is outstanding. So looking forward to that. That's another benefit of the allocated day, is that you get to hang out with people that you've already, taught with and done stuff, and they had maybe access to stuff that you couldn't get, and you had access to stuff that they couldn't get, and you were able to share these and trade them out a little bit. While there also, the same friend that I got these 3 bottles with was working with a young guy, because he has some friends that really wanted the minis, and you're only allowed to purchase 2, but there was a couple there that had something that wanted a specific bottle that I actually had, but my buddy, he had his at the house, and he was like, man, if I said, look, just grab this, and we'll square up later on it. And so he was able to get some minis for his brother-in-law, I think his father-in-law, and stuff like that. So he was able to get those. They were able to get a bottle that they liked, and then in turn, he told me, he says, hey, I've got this Maker's Mark. What do you if anyone's interested? Actually, I'm interested in it. And so we were able to work out something where 3 people benefited. He got some minis, I got a nice Maker's Mark, and they got another bottle of something that they enjoyed. So that's one of the benefits of being together at the allocated, is you get maybe an opportunity to get some other things you don't. And so then also, while being in the area afterwards, I stopped in a random gas station, which happened to have a package store inside. I said, well, let's take a look. So I found 2 other things that I really liked in the wild that I'm not normally around. One of them was this George Dickel bottle and bond. It's 11 years. And I was like, okay, I hadn't seen that in my area. I like a cool bottle. I said, I'll pick that up, and I'll do a tasting of it later and see what I think about it and give a review on it. And the last one that really surprised me was this Maker's Mark 2021 limited edition FAEO2. And it was just sitting there in the gas station. And I'm like, really? We were just talking about one of these bottles earlier, and I thought, I hadn't seen one of these in my area. My area's usually got a very good selection of stuff, and this is just sitting in a gas station in Auburn. So very excited about that. So at the end of the day, allocated, I was able to purchase 2 full bottles and 4 minis from the state of Alabama. I was able to trade for 3 other bottles, and then, actually 4 other bottles, and then I was able to purchase 2 bottles that I didn't see in my area. So for me, the allocated day was nice. Best part about allocated is you're not getting raked over the coals on pricing, but you don't get to maybe have a huge haul, but you can add to that by talking with people there or having good connections in those areas, and you help them and they help you. So I hope that helped a little bit about how the allocated day went. The second part of allocation, which will actually be March, is they do a quarterly lottery. It used to be a year-end lottery, aka they call it Pappy Day, is that you'd put in for a lottery for the different stores. If you were selected, you then had the opportunity to show up at that store the morning of, a half an hour before, get in line based on your number, then go through and select the allocated the products. And then there was also a walk-up line, which is essentially how all the other months work. Is you get there, and based on your place in line, you would go behind the lottery people. So March is going to be the first quarterly lottery in Alabama. The lottery closes today, and then 2 days after that, if you were selected for one of the places in the lottery, you'll get notification via email and text to tell you this is your number. They're doing 50 slots, and you can pick up to 4 different stores. And then with that, you go ahead, and if you're selected as a number, you show up the morning of, a half an hour before, you get in line, and you go process through. If you don't get one of those numbers, then you can do a walk-up line that'll be behind these 50 people. If not everyone shows up, your place improves in the walk-up line, and then you'll go through and see what other allocated products are left. Alabama ABC does a very good job of at least posting what's going to be there a couple of weeks in advance, so you can decide, yeah, this is worth my time to go in for this. And if you don't see anything on there that you really interest, you realize I don't want to show up out there today. So we're very interested. This is the first quarterly part of an Alabama lottery. This will be the first opportunity that we have to actually see how this is going to work, what products. We were doing some hypothesizing yesterday as you sit around, have a little extra time, eat some donuts and things. And we said, I wonder what they're going to have for March. Usually the end of the year is where you're going to get a lot of the bigger allocated stuff. But Heaven Hill's got some stuff dropping in March. What are some other products that may come out there? So if you could think of something that you think Alabama might drop in March, let's put it out there and let's kind of see where it ends up at. And then, how accurate are we on these things? But the first one is going to be the most interesting, I think, because it'll give you kind of an idea of where to start. This is the baseline, and this is what you can kind of expect going forward. And this is actually a part of a project a year-long project that I'm doing on how bourbon specifically, bourbon, some whiskeys, are found in Alabama versus how I find them in Georgia. I'm kind of doing a state of Alabama versus Georgia. I've got 4 stores in the Columbus, Georgia area that I've kind of vetted through and I really like, versus the state of Alabama. And I'm going to show quarterly and then yearly totals on how these different stores or these different states benefited me and how potentially it might benefit you. So, but that's a project for another day, and I'll put something out about that one later. But I certainly appreciate your time today. If you found any of this interesting, please like, comment, subscribe. I hope you have an amazing day. Good luck on your bourbon journey. Thank you.